Okay, so to talk about what happened in NASU yesterday, we've got two gentlemen as well. Tokunbo Wahab is the special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Education. He joins us via Zoom. We also have Dr. Ibrahim Bakare, who is the chairman of ASUU. LASU is also an associate professor of economics at LASU. Incidentally, he's in transit, so the images might be that sort of image. I beg your pardon, Mr. Tokunbo Wahab is in transit. But we've got Dr. Bakare, who equally joins us. Let's start with Dr. Bakare. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, could you tell us, why is it that, contrary to what the Lagos State government expected, the schools, we understand ASUU even shut out the VC and several others from resuming?
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. Very good morning to Channel TV, its workers, and our millions of viewers today. I am so happy this interview is being arranged in the light of the burning issues yet to be resolved. In the first instance, I have just listened to my interview, which was granted yesterday at the gate of the Lagos State University, where I raised a number of issues yet to be properly addressed by the Lagos State government. Chamberlain and our millions of viewers, the issue at hand is very simple. We have made series of consultations with government functionaries, both formally and informally. And I'm so happy that my dear friend, brother, and the special advisor to the governor on special, education is here with us today. We've also met him, where we raised a number of issues that
you cut to the chase. What specifically did you raise, Dr. Bakare? What specifically did you raise with him, the special advisor, that has not been addressed?
Non-payment of minimum wage, which of course, has become implemented in the last 18 months or thereabout by other stream of workers in the Lagos State, civil service. Number two, non-payment of hand academic allowances. Number three, we've also got, urgent attention on the part of the government to take good care of our laboratories. Then number four, the 450 million, which of course was actually stated, to be paid by the government, is inadequate. We made this very clear because LASU, as an institution of learning, which of course has been rated as one of the best in the world and the second best in Nigeria.
Let's bring him in right now. Okay, just a minute. Let's bring him in to respond to what you've said. Mr. Wahab, you heard him. Says they had a meeting with you and all those issues that they raised were not addressed.
Very much, Chamberlain. Good morning, Nigerians. Let me start with the first issue. They met with me and they raised the issue of a governing council to be instituted for the university. I can say for a fact and authoritatively that Mr. Governor had inaugurated the governing council for the institution, like our other institution, nearly 2 weeks ago. And they also raised the issue of giving them a befitting campus. Chamberlain, Mr. Governor had barely spent a year and a half, and I can speak to the fact that they have moved to their Senate building that was abandoned when Mr. Governor assumed office on the 29th of May last year. They are also about moving to their faculty of business management. The Chinese had come back to the site and they are ramping up the project. Now, they spoke about the issue of 450 million naira, which Dr. Bakare just alluded to. That is a subvention that the government of Lagos State gives to LASU as a subvented MDA. Now, the issue of being enough or not being enough is the issue that we have to now engage the management of the school with about. Minimum wage, let me say this, Chamberlain, is their right as public servants. And the fact that their contemporaries in the mainstream civil service are already enjoying this benefit is a pointer to the fact that we are taking it serious.
Ju-
However,
ju- we know
we
that
know one of the
you're,
joint issues.
just a minute, we know that you're, on your way somewhere, but just give us a moment. We'll come back and then let both of you give us your concluding thoughts in a moment. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. So, Mr. Wahab, could you go ahead and make the point? What is it that needs to be done now for the lecturers to go back to school? Because they say if those conditions are not met, they won't budge.
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. We are having a meeting with the unions this morning, I think by 11 o'clock. The head of service is convening the meeting, and I will sit at the meeting with them. And I think we're going to have a meeting with the management afterwards and then members of the governing council. Their demands are things that we're going to look into, and they're going to rub minds as we ought to do. If Dr. Bakare is saying the subvention is not enough, all well and good. We'll sit down with them, we engage them. If they have brought a list of demands and we have ticked the boxes, including that of the governing council, they finished the Senate building, they are ramping up the completion of the business management building. The student arcade the guy is going to go back to sites. We've had a meeting with him last week. And then we now have the issue of minimum wage. That's the only one that is outstanding. Chamberlain, this government is very sincere about it. And I believe we have given them a world-class hostel. The developers are on site. It's 8,272 bed space hostel. First of its kind in this part of the world. And if it's just the issue of the minimum wage, Chamberlain, I am very certain that issue will be resolved within the next few hours. And then they'll have to open up their gates for our students to come back.
Dr. Bakare, having heard what he has said, do they have to meet your demands 100%? Because if they've done some of these things, you need to give your demands a human face. Do you agree with that, and how do you proceed with that, if you agree?
Yeah, really, we've been very peaceful. We've been very civil. We've been very consultative. And I'm quite sure the SAE can really testify to this. It is not only the issue of minimum wage that we have really laid before the government. We talked about other issues, including the unpaid and academic allowance, which other colleagues from other universities have been enjoying since 2009. We feel so pained that all these issues are so critical to the welfare, of our members. And let me state this clearly, since the commencement of COVID, NASU remains the most active institution, where you see staff really working, where you see staff giving in their best. And the reality on ground is that we've done so well to really project the image of the institution.
Okay,
Dr.
Bakare, pardon me to bring in this now. Just to clarify certain things. Now, we're under the impression that ASUU is on strike. Is that the case?
Really, yeah, it is JAG. What you see us, implementing now is the decision of, the JAG. That is the, unions of all tertiary institutions, in Lagos.
So could you speak to this, because we're in receipt of this document signed by Tony Dansu, PhD, Secretary ASUU, and Adeola Adeolu Oyekon, PhD, Assistant Secretary ASUU, saying, contrary to the widespread belief, ASUU is not on strike.
Yeah, that is quite unacceptable. The reality on ground is that those, characters you've just mentioned have ceased to be academic staff members of our union. So I do not really understand where they got their mandate, from. And I'm quite sure the SA can really testify to that. So there is only one ASUU at the Lagos State University, and it's being chaired by, Dr. Ibrahim Adeolu Owolabi Bakari. So the position of, ASUU is in tandem with, the position of, JAC, representing unions of all tertiary, institutions, in Lagos. So I do not understand where and how those characters
Okay.
you just mentioned really came about, their letter.
A couple of issues were raised in that letter, saying that LASU at the moment is exempted from the ongoing national ASUU strike, as it is currently under sanctions from the neck of ASUU. Is that also correct?
That is incorrect. The reality on ground is that the decisions of the members of ASUU LASU is just what we have implemented. So ASUU at the national level says it is on strike. ASUU at the national level says universities should not be reopened in the light of lack of confidence, that the reopening might really, hike up, COVID, pandemic. So we do not understand, where, the source of that letter really emanated from.
Right.
What I have presented is the mandate of my people from the Lagos State University.
Okay. All right, let's wind down with Mr. Wahab as we get his closing thoughts, specifically on schools reopening. I think the last time we had a conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that the government had visited schools, thousands of schools around Lagos. Just give us an insight into that. How many schools have been visited? What did you find out specifically?
Now, in the past 2 months, specifically, we visited over 18,000 private schools and then 1,637 public schools across the state. And that gave us a window to ramp up the infrastructure they need for us to prepare for the resumption.
Pardon me, how did you do that? How did you achieve that? Because, I mean, in 2 months, visiting that much schools, because
the schools are in districts.
Okay.
For each district, the Office of Quality Assurance comes across each district, across the states. So, and they have staffs on their payroll across the states. So they're the ones that have to do that for us.
Okay, my apologies, gentlemen. Okay, pardon me. We need to let you both anchor at that point. Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, Special Advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Education, as well as Dr. Ibrahim Bakare, the Chairman of ASUU LASU, also an Associate Professor of Economics in LASU as well. Thank you both for talking to us today.